Welcome to Nonprofit Nerd Impact Unleashed. Get ready to dive into the world of nonprofits, where the nerdy passion and unstoppable dedication of those making a real impact is celebrated. Together with your host, Jarrett Ransom, the inspiring stories and game-changing strategies of nonprofit leaders will be explored. Join us to unravel the mysteries of successful fundraising, uncover the secrets to effective advocacy, and nerd out over innovative approaches to solving social challenges. Nonprofit Nerd Impact Unleashed is your go-to podcast for no-nonsense discussions with real-life superheroes of the nonprofit sector. Get ready to unleash your inner nerdiness and discover or rediscover how to change the world together. Now let's dive in and embrace the power of our nerdy side.
Hey there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Nonprofit Nerd Impact Unleash. Today's guest is Jackie McLaughlin. She is a CPA with Chasen and Company. Jackie shares her approach to using a Joy Barometer to guide her decision-making process. She emphasizes the importance of asking for help, setting boundaries, and maintaining a flexible approach to life, allowing you to offer support when needed without sacrificing your own well-being. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation and hope you find her insights as valuable as I did. And thank you to this season's sponsors, Fundraising Academy at National University, Nonprofits HQ, and Chasen and Company, where today's guest, Jackie, is joining us from. Well, hey, Jackie, I am so thrilled to have you here. You're joining us, I want to say from Chasen and Company, but I know that I've got so many questions to ask you. So again, thrilled to have you and also thrilled to have Chasen and Company as one of our sponsors this season. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the questions I like to ask when we start these conversations is I believe that so many of us, like if you could see us and maybe you're looking, right, as opposed to just listening, we wear so many hats. We wear so many hats. We have so many titles. So if you have a name tag, it probably like runs down, onto the floor and it just keeps going. So tell us, Jackie, what are some of the different titles and roles that you go by, really from that, personal life as well as your professional capacity as a nonprofit accountant?
So I love that question. And I like to segment my roles into different segments of my life. So and I think you're going to find I have a lot less roles than a lot of people have.
Okay.
So the first area I like to segment is my family of origin. So I'm a daughter and I'm a sister in my family of origin. Then there is my nuclear family where I am a mother and I'm a spouse. And then there's my friend group. So I'm a friend. And then I am a CPA professionally who works for Chasen and Company, and we do outsourced accounting exclusively for nonprofits. And so I am the quality control and learning manager for Chasen. And then I have one organization I volunteer my time with, and I limit it to one intentionally because I'm very protective of my time in my roles. And so you'll notice the role you did not hear. I'm not a house cleaner. I'm not a cook because I don't like those things and they bring me very little joy. So I don't do them. And we don't go out to dinner a lot either. We just have eggs or cereal or, very, very simple things.
That is fantastic. And I love how you broke that up into your different groups, right, if you will, because I think many of our listeners can also resonate and relate with that. It's like, okay, we have different segments or compartments, right, of our life. For me, mine tend to just kind of weave all together. But thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like you do wear a lot of hats, but none within the like cooking, cleaning. So I would love to know, and I like to ask like just very direct questions. How do these things get done? Right. I mean, you're still eating. You said that.
So years ago, I incorporated something in every aspect of my life called the Joy Barometer. Well, that's what I call it, the Joy Barometer. So everything I do is measured against the Joy Barometer. So a simple little example, when it comes to cleaning, dust doesn't bother me. So having a dust-free house ranks very low on my Joy Barometer. Whereas having a kitchen that's tidy ranks very high on my Joy Barometer. So I'll spend time on the kitchen and ignore the dust. Now, I also years ago decided that it was important to me to put aside some budget to have a house cleaner to do the deep cleaning. So at some points in my life, I've only had one time a month. At other times in my life, I've had one 2 times a month. Whatever my budget enables me to do is how often I have that, because a clean house ranks high on my Joy Barometer, but doing it myself does not. So that's how I kind of deal with the cleaning part of it. The cooking part of it, so here's the interesting thing. I love to eat good food and I appreciate good food when I eat it. But in the cost benefit analysis, I don't enjoy cooking it enough to prepare it for myself. So sandwiches, eggs, cheese and crackers, fruit, things that don't have to be cooked, but still have nutritional value and are very simple. And I don't go out to dinner a lot. So when I do go out to dinner, like I don't do fast food because that ranks low on my Joy Barometer. I don't really enjoy hamburgers and French fries. But if I'm going to go out to dinner, I might go out somewhere nicer that has better food that ranks higher on my Joy Barometer.
Spoken like a true accountant. I
Yes.
love you bring in the budgeting, the finance. Tell me more about this Joy Barometer, because I also want to share with our guests that right before we went, into this conversation, you shared a little nugget of information maybe with me. So tell, if you would, if you're comfortable, right? Like, what was this that you used to dabble in quite some time ago? And is that the origin story of the Joy Barometer?
Yes and no. The Joy Barometer is actually a funny story, that origin. So years ago, at the start of the internet, I started a hobby, which was a work-life balance website, predominantly for working mothers. And so that's when I really launched into how to do things quicker, better, faster. And at the time, I had some really quick cleaning tips. I mean, silly little example, your tub, you pour bleach on paper towels and put it up against your grout and walk away and come back 30 minutes later and your grout's sparkling white and you throw away the paper towels. So just little silly tricks like that that gave me a lot of impact for very little effort were things on this website, as well as how to create and set boundaries, how to I think a lot of us in our work environment, we're very busy, but we're not productive. So I got very intentional about being productive, because in any work environment I've been in, I can stay busy all day long doing things that don't really add value. So where I like to focus is if I'm going to spend the time, where can I add value? So I'm not working 50 and 60 hours a week. And I'm also fortunate that Chasen and Company doesn't support 50 and 60 hours a week. Our company culture wants us to have work-life balance. So I've been fortunate in landing in a company that aligns with what I think is important as well. The Joy Barometer is a funny story. This was years ago, I was working with a contractor to build a house, and we were talking about putting granite in the master bathroom. And it was going to be an extra $800 at that time. And I was struggling over this decision. My husband said to me, "Are you going to get $800 worth of joy from this granite?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And that became the Joy Barometer from there on out. Everything got measured against the amount of joy I'm going to get from something.
I love that. I think I would have also said absolutely yes, like
Mhm.
$800 at that time for something that will maintain, right, the integrity of how it was designed and built and put into place for years to come. Talk about ROI, right? Like that joy
Mhm.
just keeps repeating that return on investment. Very cool story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, kind of a crazy story, but I took the Joy Barometer then and I started applying it to every single aspect of my life. So let me give you
Wow.
another example. I lived in a neighborhood that was full of wonderful women who were stay-at-home moms. They had children a little younger than my child. So we were at a separate place in our lives. And these women were just lovely, lovely, lovely. And they would pretty consistently get together and have potlucks and those types of things. And they would always invite me, which I was very grateful, but I would never go. And part of why I would never go is because I'm also an introvert and I worked all day. So when I measured attending this against my joy barometer, it didn't rank very high. And I think what's
Right.
important about that story is that these were lovely people. It wasn't that I was being asked to be around a bunch of people I can't stand. That wasn't it. Lovely people, just at a different place, and I had to honor the introvert in me. And so I never went. And many,
Yeah.
many people would have not made that decision and they would have gone because they felt they had to, and it was the right thing to do for neighborhood relations or whatever reason. That's stuff I
Yeah.
don't do.
Yeah, that commitment to obligation, right, is
Yes.
something that I know I struggle with. Oh, I should do this. And I had a guest, maybe you listened to that podcast with Cindy Wagman, and she's like, delete the shoulds from our life, right? It's really so I love you're bringing in this joy barometer. And I also hear what I hear you say in that, Jackie, is permission. We can give ourselves the permission to do the things in which make us most joyful, if you will, right? Like really looking at it from that perspective.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
as well as really honoring how we're wired. I'm an introvert. I need to honor that. There's somebody I work with who's an extrovert. And it's really
Yeah.
interesting because when we get together in person and I can watch her in the beginning of the day go from kind of low energy, and the longer she's around all of us, her energy really increases. I'm exactly
Rises.
the opposite. So I need to honor that introversion in me and sometimes turn
Mhm.
things down that I might want to do just
Yeah.
because I think it's going to be too draining on my energy that day. So,
Right. No,
or
that makes perfect sense.
she needs to do a lot of things because she gets more energy from being around people. So,
Yeah, that's right. And to know ourselves in that way and to know our colleagues and peers in that way and family members. So, what are some of the strategies, Jackie, that you use? Again, I mean, I'm going to use the word busy accountant, right? CPA, not a boring one. You've got so many great insights and stories to share. What strategies do you use then to manage stress, maintain focus, and really given the complexity and the nature of the work you do, working exclusively with nonprofits and finances?
great question. So we certainly have to juggle multiple clients and the needs of multiple clients. So I mean, we have a full staff. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but for me, when I'm juggling multiple clients, it's remaining very, very fluid because, for example, I have one client who's just an awesome, wonderful client. And about once a quarter, she has some tight deadlines. And it's not set in stone where she'll be like, I need this by the 10th. It's kind of like she'll call me on the 8th and say, can you get this to me tomorrow? So there's that value add that I have to say, okay, in my head, what else have I got on my plate? Can these people wait so that I can accommodate her? Again, in her situation, she never asks for anything out of the ordinary. So once a quarter, when she's under the gun and she asks for something at the drop of a hat, I've got to be fluid to set her up for success. What I do makes her look good as well. Whereas I might have other clients who are a little bit looser on their deadlines, and so I can put them off a day to handle her. So there's a lot of that very intentional prioritization every single day. There's also the respect that I told you that our organization is very big on work-life balance, which they are. I know 2 weeks out of every month, I'm going to be slammed with work. But the other 2 weeks, I can relax a little bit more. So again, being an introvert, when I'm getting slammed, if I find my anxiety or stress escalating, I have to be intentional about noticing that. And I also have to be intentional about reminding myself it's another week and it's going to be fine. Just get through this week and all will be okay. And I
Yeah.
also think
I'm
taking breaks during the day,
good.
very intentional. I got, well, this part wasn't intentional, but I got a COVID dog. And sometimes he can be a little pain in the neck because I'm really focused on work, but I've got to take him out. But as
Right.
much as sometimes I don't want to take him out, it's a blessing when I get back because now I'm
Yeah.
rejuvenated. We've been out for a walk. We live in an area with a lot of trees and nature, and I feel better when I
Nice.
come back. In fact, we just got back right
Yeah.
before you and I got on this call.
Oh, that's perfect. What is your
Good.
dog's name?
Max.
Max. Oh,
Mhm.
I love it. Well, my dog Lizzie is usually right by my feet. Like she is with me, 24/7. So maybe
Mhm.
one day we can get Lizzie and Max to meet.
Mhm.
You said something fascinating to me, and it really is what I'm dialing into here, Jackie, is the pattern of responsibilities, right? Like you just said, we're really busy for 2 weeks, and then we have kind of a rest for 2 weeks. And I can only imagine working exclusively with nonprofits and finances. And you're right, so many organizations are under that gun, right? Whether it's to produce a board report, prepare an annual report, the 990s, right? Like there's so much that goes into that. What are some of the resources maybe that you use in the company there at Chasen and Company, like as a team? What are some of those resources? Because what I love hearing from our guests that have been willing to share, these tools and techniques and resources that we tend to gravitate towards to help reduce that stress, to help to put some boundaries in place, all of these things that you mentioned. What are you and Chasen and Company using?
Well, the number one thing that I appreciate the most, and when I talk to new people, I always tell them this: collaboration. So
Yeah.
oftentimes, if there's, well, for example, most of our clients have two super busy periods, somewhere around February and somewhere around right now, because they either have a December year end or a June year end and they have to be audited. So there's a big slam to get them audit ready. So that's when collaboration can really come into play. But here's I'm giving you my rant, Jarrett. Here's my rant on that is that we have to be self-aware and intentional and speak up for ourselves to let people know I need a little extra help right now. And certainly at Chasen and Company, when I've been buried and have too much that's due right now, all I have to do is say, is there anyone that can help me? Because I'm really under these guns because of usually it's the audit deadlines. And there always
Right.
is, always. So that's a very low tech way of doing it. I'm not relying on, any software, but it's very, very effective. I think part of the problem that we have, people in general have in their work life, is they don't want to say, I need help. And so they get buried, but they're afraid that they're going to look less than if they admit it. Similarly, on the other side, if the organization has come at me with, hey, we have this project or that project or the other project, they're exceptionally good about saying, do you have any bandwidth to take on this project? But B,
Right.
if they don't do that, the responsibility is on me to say, hey, I really don't have bandwidth right now. And that's okay. It doesn't look less than, it's no mark on my record, or it's all about communication. The people making these decisions don't know if you don't tell them. So we
That's
have
right.
very, very supportive environment in that regard. And then to your point about technology, we do have a software that we use with all of our clients. It has all the things we do for our clients when we do them, and it helps us manage what's due when. And again, I'd give you the name, but it's unique, I think, to accountants. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a
But I love
web-based.
what you shared. Like there's technology, there's techniques, there's tools, there's free systems, like simply advocating and asking for help. Because
Yes.
Jackie, I'm sure you, like me, if someone says, "Hey, Jarrett, can you help with X, Y, and Z?" Chances are yes. Like we tend to come from a place of yes. We don't have too much time left, Jackie, believe it or not, because this conversation is just flowing. And I love everything that you're sharing. I want to know, when it comes to advocating, how have you advocated, or perhaps when did you last advocate, right, to take your next vacation? What does a break look like for you and your calendar? How soon is that coming up? What does that look, where are you going? All of the good details.
So you're talking to somebody who loves vacation, which also plays into when I had my hobby website on work-life balance and so forth. It's not a badge of honor to go without your vacation. It really isn't. You need a vacation to get away and recharge. And again, Chasen and Company is unbelievably supportive of that. And if you got my out of office message, it would make you smile, because it talks about we don't respond when we're on vacation because we support a work-life balance environment. But my most recent vacation was April, and I went to the Amazon jungle in Peru. And the next vacation I'm planning is in the spring sometime, and I'm doing a mother-son trip to France.
Oh, fantastic. I love this. You are a woman after my adventurous heart.
It was a lot
Sounds
of fun. We hiked the jungle and climbed Mount Machu Picchu, and yeah, it was fun.
Oh, that is amazing. And I love that Chasen and Company really does have this as a piece of the culture, is that work-life balance, and to empower the employees to take that break and to set their out of office. Jackie, will you let me know when you are leaving so that I can go ahead and see what you put on your out of office? Because I want to send you an email just to see what your out of office message.
I'll send it to you as soon as we get off this call. I'll
Yeah.
send you the verbiage.
I would love that. Well,
Yeah.
hey, Jackie, for anyone who's interested in knowing where they can find out more about you and perhaps Chasen and Company, perhaps they're saying, I need a Jackie. I need someone on my team, someone that I can call every quarter or every month.
Mhm.
Where do we find more information out about you as well as the company?
So the website is the best place to go, and it's Chasen, Chazin, and to spell out the word and company, spell out the word company.com.
Perfect. I love it. Well, hey, as we wrap up today's conversation, and you've already given us so many amazing insights, and thank you for also sharing about your, I don't know, you call it a hobby, but I really think it's like woven a fabric, or fiber, if you will, throughout your career and who you
Yeah.
are and how you show up today in conversation. So any final words of wisdom or advice for nonprofit leaders, in particular, I'm going to throw a curveball here, managing their financials?
Yes. So the best words of wisdom are to go to chasenandcompany.com, because we have a lot of free resources, blogs, white papers, videos that will help nonprofit managers in a lot of the areas that they're struggling, and obviously financial areas. I would say, if I were to sum it up quickly, it's to look at your nonprofit financials the same way you would as your household finances. You don't need to be a CPA to understand this. You just need to think the way you do at home.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, and have a fantastic trip with your son to France. I would love to get you back on to talk about Peru and France. So thank you, Jackie, for joining me, and thanks to Chasen and Company.
Thank you, Jarrett. It was wonderful.